This garden bed, I've experimented a little bit with the mulching and roost out, and I haven't tilled it. What I've done here is just pulled back the mulch and planted seed. There's companion planting going on, so without my map I couldn't tell you what's coming up here in the first row, but you can see some of the onions down at the end on the right. And there's onion seed in here, so when those are harvested, I'll have new starts to successive plant. And there's some, I think I got carrots going with them, but I'm not certain. So the same thing here, there's lettuce. The first 1/3 of the row is planted with lettuce, and it's just starting to come up. It's very, very small. And then the second third will be planted in another week, and then the final third 2 weeks after that. So we'll have a continuous supply of lettuce, and then when the front part is gone, I can reseed it with another batch of lettuce or whatever. This over here started a little earlier because it's a cold weather lettuce. It's called match or mache. It's coming up fine. Now this is a whole row of mache, but it also has other companion plant in it. I think it's spinach. So we'll have a nice salad bar out here. In the outer row closest to the wood line is a row of garlic. And I love garlic. It also helps to keep the critters out of the garden, in theory, at least in my mind. I'm not sure if that's actual. And it has some, I forget what we've planted in here with the garlic. The garlic was what I just pulled out of the garden from last year, and it was stayed over in the garage. And then we've planted, I use a guide to help me just to get like ground cover in between my main plants. It's a companion planting guide. And then down here near the end, last year was potatoes, and you'll see where I didn't get them all. They are coming up. There's one right there, and they're really infiltrating down here pretty good. So I'll have plenty of potato volunteers from last year alone. Some of them will be in my way. Now this next bed over here, the first half of the row is coming up. It's I got cabbage on right here. There's 4 plants of cabbage, followed by a cabbage seed that hasn't started sprouting yet. Again, a succession planting experiment. And here's the broccoli coming up, and you can see wherever the plants are up, I've mulched real heavy around. That's it's about 2 inches of wood chip from the neighbor's yard when he cleared some of his property, on top of about 6 inches of leaf and lawn debris that I've collected. So moving down here, the compost bin that I'm trying to do away with because it's unsightly, but it's a convenient place to dump chicken coop and let it mature, and it's a nice place to bring the kitchen scraps that we collect in a bucket near the house and just dump them in there and let them eat up. So along the bottom here I've planted some pole beans, so they'll come up and trellis on that. And there they are right there. I planted them on all 3 sides. So out here at the bottom of the garden, some of my bigger squashes, they haven't come up yet, but there's a couple of pumpkin hills and some blue Hubbard winter squash, and we have some spaghetti squash. So then I'll train those to run up this hill right here, just on the back side of the garden, facing south. You can see some garlic was where it was last year, came back. And there's about 4 or 5 of those around. So here there's some zucchini seeds planted. You see these little sticks, and the mulch hasn't been filled in yet. And up near the front of the garden, where the zucchini is already popped up, right there. Now we're getting to the beans. I've got cucumber at the leg of this trellis, and bush beans in the middle of the leg to fill in. This carrot is a last year carrot, and in order to produce carrot seed, the plant has to be 2 years old, so that's going to stay and go to seed for my carrot supply. And again, there's some cucumber right there starting to come up, and then next to it some bush bean will fill in the bottom, and I'll trellis that up the old TP trellis here. Over here we got some pepper, and in between the pepper I've planted some basil and other pepper seeds. And this is a bit of a wide row, as you can see, and I've covered around the plant so those will be able to thrive without being overcrowded. And then the others I'll probably have to thin out. Now, those haven't popped up yet because they just went in because the peppers are so subject to the cold, or sensitive to the cold, that we're behind a little bit. Then at the end of the trellis there's a melon that I'll bring up this trellis post right here, and we'll see how that goes. Once the fruit begins to be heavy, I'll have to use like hammock style supports for it. Then in between the trellis legs there's tomatoes and basil plants. So the tomatoes I've got spaced out that are started about 2 or 3 in each section, and then in between there are tomato seeds. So as these are growing and about halfway to maturity, I'll have a nice plant going there too, a nice tomato plant to back it up, and then we'll increase my tomato production over the season. And you know, some rosemary started here, and some basil started there, and a healthy little tomato plant there. This side of the trellis is peas, sugar snap peas. Also, there's companion planting going on here with carrots. So I got 4 sugar snaps started up, almost reaching the trellis now. And then the next 2 sections, successive planting of peas. So every 2 weeks I'll add plants here, or there's seed already in there, and then 2 weeks later I'll add some more seed, and we'll have a full season of sugar snap. There's going to be another set of melons here. These will be the yellow style muskmelon. On the other side was the green style melon. Watermelons go out back. Anyway, there's some more garlic from last year. I had garlic planted on the outer edge of this garden, and also to help, fend off the deer or rabbit. My cat does a real good job with the rabbits. Then there's some zucchini squash gonna go in. There's 4 spots of zucchini that haven't popped up yet. Down there, and I have looks like a nice couple of little tomato plants coming up as volunteers from last year. Then you get on the north side of the garden, the zucchinis are already started. I'm sorry, these are not zucchini, these are yellow crookneck squash. Right there. Right there. This is a wide row of potatoes here. You can see it littered with coffee grounds and eggshells and basic kitchen scraps that I didn't want to put any more into the compost bin, because the compost bin is going to cook for the next year and then be spread on the garden. So this is kind of what Ruth Stout would do if she had anything to compost. She'd just throw it in on top. And then as the potatoes start to come up, and that's one right there coming up already, I'll hill those up with mulch and get them ready for harvest. There's more garlic. This end of the garden was always bad about rock, and what I've discovered is there's this section that's about 6 inches. You can see the step there of a rock layer, and then below that there's some black clay or whatever. But this is going to be a hugelkultur bed. I'm going to fill the trench after I pull out the topsoil and rock, and fill it with wood that I have around. It's just taking up space in the woods. So I put the topsoil off to the side. The rocks go in the wheelbarrow to fill in my low spots in my driveway back here. And then we'll fill the wood back in. The chicken run is starting to mound up out there. So I'm going to take that chicken run mound, put it on top of my wood here in the hugelkultur bed, and then put my topsoil over top of that. And then I'll mulch that and seed it right away with lots of different seed, like radish and lettuce, and get it going fast. And then it'll have some herbs and other vegetables, and it'll become like a perennial vegetable bed, hopefully. Out here I started 3 apple trees 3 years ago. They were just whips. They haven't produced any apples yet, but we've had such weird springs. The buds would, or the blossoms would get frosted almost every year. I'm just trying to get them to good size and shape, learn how to trim them, prune them properly. There's a section of bed right here that I'll use probably for watermelon or the large variety 100-pound pumpkins for the kids to grow from. They always enjoy picking pumpkins. It's really hard to tell, but this is a big mound of topsoil that was dumped here by the previous owner in an attempt to, I think, fill in this berm design that he has between this 90-foot circle driveway that I have in the back for the landscape trailer and trucks, and it separated that from the house view, but he never finished the berm, so I'm going to plant it eventually. That's a tiptoe through my garden.